So as most of you guys know, Charles Oliveira on Tuesday night was preparing to head out to Abu Dhabi when he received a cut on his eyebrow in training, and after getting it stitched up, he deemed he was unable to fight and has pulled out of his fight with Islam Makhachev on just 11 days notice. Now, the UFC ended up calling up Alexander Volkanovski, who went to a decision with Islam back in February and lost his shot at the UFC lightweight title, and he accepted the fight on just 10 days' notice, even though he is supposed to fight Ilia Topuria in January and is coming off of surgery after fighting Yair Rodriguez in July. But he doesn't care. He's going to fight Islam on Saturday in Abu Dhabi, and Kamaru Usman has stepped in to face Khamzat Chimaev after Paulo Costa pulled out of their fight after announcing he has a lingering elbow issue and that he has had surgery in the weeks coming up to the fight. Now, these are some headline breaking news announcements in MMA news, and I wanted to go over them with you guys, and I'm going to give you guys my opinions on this, what I think is going to happen in the fights, and just overall go over the current state of the UFC, and I want to go over the USADA thing as well, so we'll get into all of it in today's video. So, we'll start off with Tuesday. I was watching the Contender Series, and I don't remember exactly when, but I was watching the Contender Series. I don't remember exactly which fight it was. I remember there was a couple knee knockouts in a row. But anyways, I was watching it, and I just scroll on my phone. I think it was an ad breaker or something like that. And I go onto an MMA page, and I see something talk about Charles Oliveira pulled out of the fight. And I'm like, oh, shit, I hope this is just bullshit or it's just speculation. And as time goes by, you see more pages posting it. And then eventually, after Contender Series ended, they asked Dana White about it, and he said, yeah, Charles Oliveira pulled out, Volkanovski stepping in. And he made it seem like they just asked Volkanovski one time. All he needed to hear was Oliveira's out, and he was like, I'm in. No questions asked. He wants that another crack at the lightweight title. And I think that his willingness to step up on short notice in Abu Dhabi, when he's not even in fight camp, is indicative of him having something, like some kind of game plan or something that he thinks he can use in this rematch that outweighs the short notice aspect of it and filling in when Islam's been training in a fight camp for, I think it's been 8 weeks or so now. And when you're training in fight camp, you're training so hard, getting in such good shape, you can't maintain that shape year round. That's why the guys have the shorter fight camps and then really dial in during those camps to get into that peak shape, just to be in that peak shape on fight night, and then after they can just like slow down and take their foot off the gas pedal. So, well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of shape these guys are in. I know Volkanovski is one of those guys who takes it very, very seriously. His dedication is probably among the top in the sport, and I think he's one of those guys that stays in shape year-round. Maybe not fighting shape, but he's not the kind of guy like a Paddy Pimblett who blows up out of camp and is barely even training. Like, I bet this guy's in the gym every day no matter what. So, if there's anybody to step in on short notice against Islam, it would be Volkanovski. Now, I personally think that this is going to be a much more competitive fight, much more, in turn, entertaining fight. Like, I know there is some kind of entertainment value in seeing somebody go out there and finish somebody early, and that is entertaining. But I think like a long, elite-level chess match of a fight, like their first fight was, that went 25 minutes of some of the best MMA you'll ever see, that is way more entertaining to me than a guy going out there and finishing someone in not a close fight and finishing them within 10 minutes. Like, I just don't think that that's as entertaining. So I think it could be more entertaining. Without a doubt, it'll be more competitive. And it really begs the question, if Volkanovski can pull it off, and if he doesn't, is this his last chance at UFC lightweight gold? If Islam goes out there and dominates Volk, I don't know, like, it's not going to be as big of a deal. Nobody wants to see that again. But if it's close, and if it's so close again, they could maybe even sell it off the fact, like, oh, Volkanovski came in on short notice, blah, blah, blah. Like, they could even sell it on that, but that would be grasping at straws a little bit. Honestly, I'm going to pick Volkanovski to win just because I think that he has something to prove here. He's got something that, he knows something that we don't. I think he does. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so. I mean, I know the guy's game. I know the guy has balls. I know he's not, like, going to duck anybody. But the reason I think he was so quick to take this fight is he must know something that we don't. He must have something in the vault. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Volkanovski, actually. I think I'm going to pick Volkanovski by decision. I think he's going to use what he learned last fight, what went wrong, what didn't, what worked, what didn't, and he's going to game plan. He's going to use that in his game plan. And I really think he's going to pull this one off. Like, I want to logically pick Islam just because he won, but that fight was so close, man. I really think that Volkanovski can do it. I would have liked to see Volkanovski get another crack with a full camp, but I think it's going to be a great fight either way. Now, let's get into the next fight. Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. So I had feelings that Paulo Costa was going to pull out. I wasn't deep down. I wasn't that excited for the fight because I didn't really think it was going to happen. I had a feeling that Khamzat Chimaev Paulo Costa would pull out. I just thought he would, or the fight just in general was not going to happen. And so did many people. I'm not alone in that regard. If you look at any comment section on that fight, the top comment or one of them is probably about how it's not going to happen. And it's true. It didn't end up happening. Paulo Costa pulled out of another fight, and I know he's not always the guy pulling out. He's had so many canceled fights. He had a canceled fight with Whittaker. I think he had 2 canceled fights with Whittaker. Had a canceled fight with Cannonier. And he had a canceled fight with Rockhold. Now he's a canceled fight with Chimaev. That's 4 canceled fights, and he's only had 3 fights. So he's had 4 canceled fights, and he's had 3 fights. And he's lost 2 of them in his last 3 fights. So, I don't know. I think it's just... It's unfortunate for Paulo Costa, but I don't know. I don't know why he would take this fight if he knew he had that lingering elbow and he was going to have surgery. He announced it on Ariel Helwani, and once he said that, everybody knew he was going to pull out. There's no way this guy's going to fight and have this elbow injury, lingering injury. And he was either he was going to pull out or he was going to use that as a crutch or an excuse after he loses. It just showed that mentally he was not in the right place. And in terms of Usman, another guy like Volk, another all-time great in his division, similar to Volk, where there's Aldo's kind of one of those real all-time top 10 guys, undoubtedly. It's GSP's top 3. It's 2 all-time greats stepping in on short notice to face 2, Islam's no longer even close to a prospect, but to face 2 of the most feared fighters in the UFC. Islam couldn't get a fight, couldn't fight any ranked guys. Everyone's talking about, Islam hasn't beaten anybody back when he was coming up. Nobody's chomping at the bit trying to fight. Nobody was chomping at the bit trying to fight Islam Makhachev. Don't even lie to yourself. Name one guy in that lightweight division back when he was fighting Dan Hooker and Bobby Green and mauling him. Name one guy who was actively calling for that fight. You could maybe say Beneil, but he pulled out against him. I know it was an injury, but still, he was not actively calling for that fight. He was yeah, I'll take it, but there was nobody that was saying, I want to fight that guy. Same with Khamzat Chimaev. Actually, I think it was Bilal said he would fight him, and Leon did sign to fight him, but I'm talking about recently. There have been guys that said they will fight him, so I'm not saying that Khamzat's the most ducked guy, but he is pretty avoided, to be honest. And Usman stepping in on short notice just shows how game he is, shows his mentality. That's why he became such a dominant champion, because he's coming to win, and he doesn't care. He's going to, no matter what, no matter who it's against, no matter how short notice, he'll step in and he'll do what he does best, and that's just outclass guys. And I'm not saying he's going to go out there and outclass Chimaev, but Usman's mentality, that dominant mentality he has, that mindset, coupled with that striking from Trevor Whitman and that corner advice, man, he's a beast. That's why he was the 5-time defending champ in the welterweight division. And Volkanovski is the 5-time or 4-time defending champ in the featherweight division. So now, in terms of how that fight's going to go, Khamzat and Usman, banger matchup, both wrestling backgrounds, Usman is a little older now. He's not as explosive, so I don't know if he's going to be on... I think in terms of wrestling skill, they're more close than people make it out to be. Usman's a very good wrestler, too. You think about how he dominated guys like Woodley, who's a pretty good wrestler in his own right. And, I know against, elite wrestlers like Colby, he didn't take them down as much. But Leon's a very hard guy to take down, and Usman took him down multiple times in all of their fights. The guy is a very good wrestler. And Chimaev, I know he's at this other level of, Eastern European Russian wrestling where everyone thinks it's so good. And it is good. But it's American wrestling is good too. And Usman is a very good American wrestler. And now that he's older, no longer as fast and explosive, I would definitely give Chimaev the wrestling advantage because he has that explosive ability still and that speed that you still have when you're young, younger than 30. Usman's 35. And yeah, his knees are shot, but come on, guys. This fucking Usman's knees, it's a running joke now that he has to walk downstairs backwards and walk on the grass. It's bro, the guy would not be fighting MMA if he had such fucked up knees. Come on. Obviously, I'm not saying his knees aren't fucked up, but this idea that he's practically a cripple, do you really think this guy would be able to train like he does and fight like he does if he had no knees? No. He would not. He would look like Chris Weidman if he actually had this no knees, has to walk downward stairs. That's just bullshit. That's just not true. I'm sure he has fucked up knees, and I'm sure his knees are worse after Leon kicked him up. But, come on, guys. You really believe that this guy has this guy was literally the number 1 pound-per-pound fighter with no knees. Do you actually believe that? That's complete bullshit. But anyways, I'm going to pick Khamzat to win just because I think he has the momentum. I think he's going to be the much bigger guy, especially at middleweight. But I really could see Usman doing this. I feel like people are going to be sleeping on him. I know that Leon beat him twice. I'm not saying he didn't. But Leon's a dog, man. Leon's a fucking dog. And he's good everywhere. And I'm not saying that Khamzat's not good everywhere. But man, I don't like Leon Edwards is just losing to him, especially now. It's like, come on, that's not that big of a deal. Like, I know Usman was the guy, but like 2 losses to Leon, I can brush that off because Leon's a straight up killer. But I think Usman still has it, and we'll have to see how weathered or how if he looks like he's really lost a step. We won't know until he steps in there. But I do think this fight's going to be very close, very competitive. I think it's going to go the distance. Honestly, I do think it's going to go the distance. I could see either guy getting a finish, but like, if I'm being honest, bro, if anybody gets the finish, I'd have to give it to Usman because Khamzat's there to be hit. Look at his fight with Gilbert Burns, and Usman hits a lot harder than Gilbert Burns. He put Gilbert Burns out. He could take a shot better than Gilbert Burns, and he put Gilbert out with a jab, and he flatline KO'd Jorge Masvidal, who Gilbert couldn't flatline KO, and was dropping Colby like all over the place, broke his jaw, sat him down in their first fight. In their second fight, that sequence hit him with the left, sent him flying, hit him with a punch, sent him flying. Like, he gets up, gets dropped right again. Like, he was like whooping Colby's ass parts of those fights because he had the power advantage over him. And yeah, I mean, if push came to shove and I had to pick somebody to get a knockout, it would definitely be Usman. And he doesn't have the sub that Khamzat does. But I don't really see Khamzat ragdolling Usman and just subbing him in like he did to Holland, or even in general. I just don't see that happening. I think that Usman's too high level for Khamzat to just completely dominate like that. I think that if he really hurt Usman on the feet and then took him down, yeah, he'd have a chance. But like a Usman that we all know and love, I don't see him getting ragdolled by a guy like Khamzat. I don't see him getting ragdolled by anybody. That's not a knock on Khamzat. I just don't see him getting ragdolled by anybody. But Leon Edwards did take him down, so maybe Khamzat can get him down, and I'll give him props. If Khamzat gets him down like Leon Edwards did, it's going to be a bad night for Usman. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about today. I'll probably be posting another video soon, breaking down this upcoming Sadiq Youssef versus Edson Barbosa card. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Some crazy news recently, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.